everybody. It's Tony George along with Sean Salisbury, who has an innate interest in this next basketball game as we do a look ahead. As a former USC Trojan quarterback and a USC alum, Sean probably has a little bit of interest in this game as they take on Arizona out here on Saturday in college basketball. And Sean, USC, before we even get into this game, USC has a hell of a basketball team this year.
They do. Andy Enfield is been doing a good job. And you know what I love about it? Tony, you know this. Part of the biggest part aside of developing players, whether it's basketball or football at the collegiate level, you got to recruit them, right? And then you got to develop them, right? And basketball, we've always been, over the last few years now, Enfield's got some players now, and either guys that have gone to the NBA players. I mean, he's getting that guy that UCLA always used to get, right? And it's no longer. It's what's ironic is that we're sitting here as Trojan fans. I'm sitting here saying, I'm not so sure. Are over the last year and a half, are we a basketball program or a football school? I mean, facetiously, but with the facilities and the way that Andy's built this up the last couple of years, we got players now. The Mobley brothers can flat out play. This team is, in first place ahead of UCLA. They score. They ramped up their three-point shooting last game, and they've got – the problem with them that always concerns me is they better defend when they get to tournament time, Tony, as we jump further ahead, they've got to defend superstar scorers, elite scorers. USC's got to play better on the defensive end. But coming off another – they're coming off another win. They're 18-3 now, a top 20 team in the country. They are a really good basketball team. And they're gifted, and Andy Enfield does a really good job while they're there of getting the most out of them. But those recruits that come in, they're ready to take over immediately. This is a good basketball team. That is a definite threat, and they just got to take care of their business. The problem, Tony, they got 4 games in, I think, the next 7 or 8 days with postponements that have happened. This is going to be a test on their guts, and they're heading into tournament play. I like them in this game. Arizona's been up and down. USC should take care of their business at home, but I like the way Andy Enfield's got them playing. They must defend. They must defend a superstar. They got to continue to shoot the three-pointer well, and they got everybody involved on the offensive end, which was huge in their most recent game.
Well, one thing for sure here, Arizona coming off an ugly loss on Thursday night against UCLA, and I'm sure that
Big time.
Sean Miller has kept his team in Los Angeles playing again tomorrow instead of traveling back and forth. So this is an interesting road trip for Arizona. By the way, Arizona 1-4 straight up and against the spread their last 5 games. They are in a funk at the wrong time of the season. Now, if you take a look at this game, you have the number 1 and number 2 ranked offense in efficiency ratings in the Pac-12, but that's where they fall off after that. And if you take a look at Arizona's last 5 games, Sean, this is going to shock you from a Sean Miller team. They're scoring 65 and allowing 70 with the talent that they have versus USC scoring 74 and USC allowing only 60. And I think that's the key to USC's success moving forward, not only in this conference, but the conference tournament. They're going to get probably a 4 seed or maybe better if they win out in the Pac-12. If they can maintain allowing 60 points per game, between 60 and 65, they can score with anyone here, especially with the Mobley twins. So I think this is a very good team. Now, this KenPom rating here, Sean, while you're talking about like in USC here, right now we don't have the line for this game as we do this look ahead, but it's going to come in, at least a KenPom rating is -8 for USC here in Arizona. That is where the trick comes in here a little bit. But if you start looking at effective field goal percentage for USC, they're 51% on offense. That is a very high number. And Arizona is way down the list here. And in the last time these two played, as a matter of fact, USC was a 3.5-point underdog, went into Tucson and won 87-73, beat them by 14. And by the way, USC, for anybody that's living under a rock, they're 11-1 straight up at home, Sean. No one's going into LA and pushing them around here. And I think this is a story of one team going one direction, another team going another direction right now. And I don't know how you're going to recover, off that ass kicking that UCLA game has. I mean, Arizona was never in that game. They looked disinterested.
They lost. Yeah.
They looked disinterested. They looked confused. And the one thing I've noticed about Arizona this year, Sean Miller, despite having the issues with the recruiting problems and issues with the NCAA, and kind of surprised he kept his job. But I'll tell you why he kept his job, because he's a damn good basketball coach and they don't want to lose him. That being said, this year it seems to me more than any other year that he's coached there, Sean, that he loses his team during a game. He can't seem to get them all on the same page, and the halftime adjustments don't seem to be working for him. Where on the other side of the coin, USC is very well coached and very well disciplined, and I find that a little bit of a problem for Arizona moving forward.
No question about it, and this is not typical. Isn't it amazing how it's in the 3 games that we've talked about on a couple other videos, Tony, as we look ahead with these, that some of the coaches that we're used to having control of how their teams play haven't been able to get their teams to respond this year. And you're right about Arizona, and you're right about Sean. I can tell you this. With USC, if it gets up to 8 points, Tony, as we do this video, if it gets up to 8, that still concerns me. Sean Miller team coming off this loss. They lost 5 straight now, I think, to UCLA, and it's staying there. They'll be at least more ready to play, but they haven't been able to respond for 40 minutes on a regular occurrence for University of Arizona. The big key, aside from stopping superstar scorers, which SC didn't do against Arizona State, hell, half their damn points came from Martin in the game for Arizona State, is they only turn the ball over 10 times, Tony. And when you're shooting like they're shooting, and you're not turning it over and the efficiency kicks in, and even if you do, one scorer does get his and you can keep them down, USC should win the game. But, Tony, I'll tell you what, I when it comes to this, I'm into the psychological part of this when I pick games as well. And I know with point spreads, and I know there's an art to it and stuff, and I look at that. But I'm also, and another step for me, I think about response, history of a coach, even though if they've struggled against the point spread this year. If it's at 8 points, I'm taking Arizona in the game at the Galen Center at SC. But I'm going to tell you what, if SC keeps it in that 10 to 12 turnover range and shoots like they've been, they'll take them to the woodshed, and they'll boat race them. But I would expect Arizona to hang around. I like SC in the game. When it comes to making money, and you're giving me 8 points, I'd take University of Arizona if that's where the line comes in. If it gets to that 6 range, I'll lean towards the Trojans. And they're having their best February since Andy Enfield's been there. And that's not usually like them. This is the month he struggles. They're kicking ass now, as I mentioned. The next, they've got 4 games that they got to deal with. So the key for them is not to look beyond this, thinking tournaments around the corner. They got to take care of Arizona. Fortunate for them, it's at home. I would expect Sean Miller's team to at least be ready to play. 8 points is a lot of points for me in this one this late in the season.
If it comes out there, I'm going to have to agree with you. I'm going to have to take the points. If you can get this 6 or under, I probably would take a look at it. The one thing that concerns me about Sean's teams right now, last night, I will tell you one thing. In that UCLA game, they looked like they threw the towel in. When they were getting smothered, and that just doesn't happen very often.
Yes.
And I think staying there in Los Angeles, being basically sequestered like a jury in a hotel until the next game because of these COVID protocols, I think he's really going to go to work on them, and they're going to come out here. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised to maybe even pick them up on the first half line if they're catching 4 or 5, and to make a game of it at least early, and maybe USC and their talent finally pulls away from them late in the game. But that's another angle to bet it at. But Sean Salisbury kind of he likes USC to win, but he's fading his Trojans on the number if it's 8. So it'll be interesting. Be sure and check those lines out, folks. Be sure and take advantage of the free $60 we got for you over at Docs. And Sean and I will be back next week with more shows Tuesday, Thursday, every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Friday, buddy. Thanks for stopping by, Sean.
No problem. Let's go Mobley twins. Let's take care of this, okay? Let's go Trojans. Thanks, buddy.
There you go, folks. Thanks for tuning in.